So if you run SAP, you've probably heard of S/4HANA. And if you've heard of S/4HANA, you've probably heard how hard it is to do a business case for S/4HANA. You can read our research on this, but there's quite a large number of SAP customers running ECC who are really struggling to produce a business case. We've got a few tools to help with that, but one of the tools we've got is actually a model and a paper-based tool that I'm going to explain to you now, and there's also a download on our website to explain it in more detail. It's called the Resulting Package Portfolio Matrix. There are two axes I'm going to draw to this matrix. I'm going to take some time to just explain how these two axes work. The first axis is a horizontal axis. And on that axis, we're going to have 3 points. The first point, the middle point, allows us to map the business processes we have in our business process master list or in our scope of our ECC system on a continuum. And the middle of that continuum is where we're going to plot what I will call commodity processes. I'm just going to move that C to one side slightly, out of the way. So there are commodity processes. They're the kind of processes that you just have to do to be in business. The example I always use is posting a journal is posting a journal, right? It's a commodity process. There's no need to make that a sophisticated process. At either end of this extreme, we've got two similar categorizations, and they're both similar in that they both do the same thing. Over here, we have processes that give you competitive advantage. That means they're the things that make your business compete with your customers and survive or thrive. On the right-hand side, we look at competitive advantage processes that give a top-line business benefit. That means that you sell more, you win more business, you increase your top line. Okay, so imagine those things as being the things that drive revenue up. Conversely, on the left-hand side, we have other competitive advantage processes that give a bottom line benefit. They're the things that drive costs down. So in a business, journals is a commodity business process. Your sales order entry processes, if they're done well and differentiated, they give you a competitive advantage over your competitors. And over here, there'll be certain processes, let's say manufacturing excellence or quality control, that takes costs down. So you can imagine taking all of the business processes in the scope of your ECC system and plotting them on that continuum. You'll tend to find there'll be a large number of commodity processes and a smaller number of competitive advantage processes. The vertical axis of this matrix gives us a different view. In the middle, we have business processes that are delivered using standard functionality. The whole reason you bought SAP is because it's a big box of best practice business processes. There's no point you changing every single business process in SAP. Commodity processes are best delivered with standard functionality. But if you use standard functionality to do the things that give you a competitive edge, guess what? You're exactly the same as all your competitors. So there's two things we can do to differentiate. The first is we can customize the system we've got. We can bespoke it. We can change the functionality to deliver the processes that make us different. The other thing we can do is we can look at what I call vendor innovations. These are new cool things in new releases of software that give you some kind of edge. So machine learning might be a vendor innovation. Cloud-based procurement might be a vendor innovation. These are things that software vendors commit to deliver as part of their roadmap. What's interesting now is what happens when we plot your business processes onto this framework. So many of you may have had a business process master list or a BPML or some other process modeling hierarchy. And in there you'll have level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 business processes. Assume we're going to take level 3 in your business process model. So things like create a sales order or make a backs payment, that kind of level in your process hierarchy. When we've done this with many ECC customers, what we found is this. We found that people often over-customize commodity business processes. They spend lots of times doing enhancements or write-ups in order to drive different ways of working, your way of working, your special way, without considering that the thing that they're customizing is purely a commodity process. We also find that people do the opposite. They use standard functionality to deliver what should be giving them competitive advantage. They're doing the same as their competitors, rather than finding a way to get an edge out of the software in order to deliver the things that give them an edge. And we also find that people are far too late in taking on vendor innovations. They often do a technical upgrade and fail to look at the new functionality delivered in that release. That's the same with every release of R3 through to ECC 6 and 7 and on to S4. So the shape that most people have, on average, looks something like this. It's an upside down pear. And in that pear, this is the worrying part. You shouldn't be over customizing things that are giving you no competitive advantage. A better shape looks something like this. Try and focus on using standard functionality to deliver commodity business processes. Makes sense. Around this area, use what's in the box to deliver commodity processes. If you're going to customize things that give you competitive advantage, because that's what makes you different than your competitors. Having a slicker sales order entry process, having some kind of profitability analysis that gives you an edge over your customers from a manufacturing or an inventory perspective. Also, explore new vendor innovations. Explore things up here like open APIs that allow you to integrate with customer systems. Explore things up here like machine learning and RPA that will give you a competitive advantage. The shape you really want to have is this shape. You want to invest your customization in areas that give you competitive advantage. And importantly, you want to reduce all of this technical debt and remove customizations. So we've run this model with quite a few customers now. It's a really, really simple exercise. The first part of the exercise is to take the business process master list, and sometimes we have to go and regenerate that, which is quite a quick exercise. We categorize the data in the business process master list in a way that drives this visualization. We identify the areas where we should be doing a fit to standard. We should be moving things to be standard functionality. That totally removes a huge chunk of your upgrade, a huge chunk of your greenfield redevelopment time. And then we look for opportunities to identify areas where we can give competitive advantage through simple customizations or newly available vendor innovations. So that's our package portfolio matrix. If you're interested in understanding how you can use that to energize your S4HANA business case, you can either contact us on the website, or in our download section, there's actually a really useful guide that talks through this process and gives some illustrations as well. Hopefully that was really useful.